Choosing your wedding venue should be one of the very first steps you should start working towards when planning your wedding. Many of the decisions in the planning process that will follow will greatly be determined by the venue. This video is a 3-4. First, to help you choose on the type of wedding venue you want. Second, all of the things to consider and ask when venue shopping. And third, the red flags you might encounter when deciding on a wedding venue. Be sure to check in the description below for a link where you can download a PDF that lists all 50 of these topics I will be covering in this video. Hello everyone, my name is Bill Rice. I am a Tampa-based wedding and portrait photographer, and I have owned and operated Bill Rice Photography since 2006. I have photographed over 700 weddings, countless engagement sessions, tons of family portraits, and pretty much everything else under the sun. My focus of this channel is to educate and guide you, future brides and grooms, on how to plan, execute, and enjoy your dream wedding. You can help me grow this channel with a like, comment, or follow. Your first consideration when choosing your wedding venue is your theme. Your theme could be a modern or urban feel, a farmhouse or garden idea, historical buildings or a museum, a country club or a winery, the beach, or even a DIY backyard wedding. This is probably the vision you've had in your head of your wedding for some time now. You also may have already chosen your color schemes and maybe your flowers for your centerpieces. Obviously, this initial decision of your theme will help you frame the ambience and atmosphere for your wedding. Each venue type is very different from the other, and dialing in this decision will help your search be more focused. It also may be best to have both your ideal wedding theme and a backup theme. You may have your heart set on a winery, but that rustic farmhouse you visited gave you a quote that was 20% less. This could help you make your final decision, mostly based on your budget, but also your desired wedding date, especially if you're set on having it on a Saturday during peak wedding season for your area. Some venues may already be booked. During your initial search, your wedding budget will play the primary role. Once you have spoken with the venue or have been given the venue information, you will have a better idea of what the initial costs will be. This might bring a venue to the top of your list, or it may completely eliminate it altogether. So to recap, part 1 is the 3 steps on choosing your venue. The first is deciding your theme. The second is your budget, and the third is your wedding date. Now, before I go any further, I want to talk about something called all-inclusive wedding venues. When you book a venue, you may only be booking the actual property or the banquet hall. You may be responsible for hiring catering, the bar, all of the staff, the rentals, and all of your other vendors. However, most venues will have some sort of bare bones options included with the price. At the least, they should have catering, staff, and the seating, linens, and placings for dining. Many venues may even have some kind of add-on that will offer upgrade packages. Most wedding venues will also have some type of preferred vendor list. Now, all-inclusive event design will have everything done for you in-house. They'll take most of the guesswork out of your hands and only concern you with the main decisions you'll want to be a part of during the planning process. They will provide the catering, the bar, the linens, the DJ, the photographer, the cake, the decorations, and all of the other vendors needed for your wedding. They usually have a list of their vendors you get to choose from. Now, I have a completely different video about all-inclusive wedding venues that I'll link at the end of this video. When I was in San Diego, I worked with an all-inclusive event design company for almost 20 years. So definitely give that video a watch before you make a decision on your venue. There, I'll walk you through how most all-inclusive venues operate and why it might be a great option for you to consider. Once you've dialed in your wedding theme, budget, and date, you'll want to start exploring the venue's capacity, location, their ceremony site, and the rules or policies. Capacity is an obvious one. How many guests are you planning on having? But location may be a concern if guests will be coming from afar and they will need accommodations. If hotels are far from your venue, you can count on many people driving to the venue, and parking will be an issue you may need to address. The ceremony location is another huge factor in choosing your venue. The convenience of having your ceremony at the venue could be an entire video, but if you're planning on having this option, be sure you like the venue and the ceremony location. It's also a good time to ask about contingency plans if it rains. The final topic in step 2 is the rules and regulations. Do you want your dog in your wedding? What about sparklers and fireworks? How late can you play music? What's the earliest you can access the property on your wedding day? Think hair and makeup. These are all topics that should be addressed, but for more specific requests, it's best you ask before booking. For the better part of the rest of this video, I'm going to refer to the questions and concern sheet. If you haven't downloaded it yet, that is fine. You can download it after the video is through, or you can pause the video now, download the PDF, and come back to follow along. Some I have already discussed, and I'm going to skim over the more obvious questions and concerns, but I'd like to emphasize the more important ones and tell you my experience by citing some of the examples of what I've seen. So here is my 50 considerations, questions, and concerns when choosing your wedding venue. The first several topics on this list are all related to budget and the venue's policies on deposits, cancellations, what is included, add-ons, and packages. Now, when you visit or inquire about having your wedding at different venues, you may be met with many different options that are aimed at meeting your budget. This is where you're going to have to shop and compare deals and differences in what might be included in the base price and what you'll need to shell out for the upgrades. This may be one of the deepest diving ventures in your wedding planning, but I promise it gets easier after you've set your venue. Looking over the list, we're going to start with number 11. Number 11 is the wedding coordinator, and it's a big one to address. Personally, I think a good coordinator is vital for the success of your wedding. He or she will have a huge impact on the flow and will design a master itinerary that will allow all of your vendors to work with one another in a harmonious way, all while keeping you on schedule. Many coordinators offer different levels of coordination. That could be year of, month of, or day of your wedding coverage. But personally, I think at minimum, having a month of coordinator is fundamental for planning your wedding. This way, they can help plan the actual day than to just be there on your wedding day, trying to make sure everything goes according to plan. But if your wedding coordinator wasn't involved in creating your wedding itinerary or plan, how are they going to assure it flows smoothly? They should be involved with the timing of everything during your wedding. Not only what time the ceremony starts and ends or what time the grand entrance is, but all of the vendor arrival times, drop-off times, setup times, and they should be sure the master coordination schedule also flows with the catering schedule. So I'm going to go over the rest of the list, and I'm just going to pop through at the ones that I see and I want to talk about. Number 12, availability of the wedding. Again, you may want to have some flexibility in your date, because if you're set on a certain wedding and you want October 11th, but it's not available till the following week, October 17th or 18th, you might want to have that flexibility if you're set on a wedding. Let's go down a little bit more to number 17. Does the vendor offer multiple day events such as rehearsal, wedding day, and brunch following your wedding day? You might want to consider this if you want to have, and I definitely recommend you have, a rehearsal dinner or a rehearsal wedding ceremony followed by a dinner. If people are coming from afar and they're staying at your wedding venue, say in the hotel or a hotel nearby, you may want to consider having the wedding there followed by the next day brunch. It's customary to have your rehearsal followed by a rehearsal dinner the day before your wedding, the wedding day, and then after a brunch with usually your close family. When can you do your wedding rehearsal? Number 18. You're going to want to do your wedding rehearsal in close proximity to your wedding so it's fresh in your head. Usually it's the day before. I wouldn't do it more than like a week before. Number 19 is a big one, is what time will you be allowed on the property? This is a huge concern because your wedding venue in your contract says maybe you can arrive at 12 for a 2 o'clock ceremony. Now, you'll have to consider if you're doing hair and makeup at a different location or if you're going to be getting ready at your venue and doing hair and makeup there. 21 is, does the venue have a place for the bride and wedding party or the groom and his wedding party to get ready? Again, a bridal suite or a bridal room at your wedding venue is key. Number 26, are you getting married and having the reception on the same property? Now, you need to be clear on the pricing for both of them that are included, and you're also going to want to see the ceremony site and the venue site to see if you like them both. Number 27 is more of a contingency plan, and it's, does the venue offer indoor and outdoor ceremony locations? You should ask, if you're having an outdoor ceremony, what is their contingency plan if it rains? Can it be moved indoors? Number 29 is, what is provided for the ceremony? A lot of places will include it, but it's good to ask if they include the chairs, the arch that you're going to get married from, or some kind of backdrop, speakers for the DJ, and outlets for the DJ. DJs usually bring their own speakers, but they will need power. Number 30, is the ceremony site in close proximity to the reception or cocktail hour? You're thinking about guests that need to walk long distances, elderly, handicapped people like that. You might need to provide them with transportation like golf carts. It's good to address before you book. 32, rules and policies. I've been to a lot of weddings where there's pets and sparklers and bubbles after the ceremony, and some places don't allow them. Setup times, music cutoff times, cleanup fees. Is the venue cleaning up or are you doing it yourself? Candles, that's a big one. A lot of places don't allow open flame. Confetti, and then outside alcohol. I have worked at wedding venues where a coordinator at the venue actually took the flasks from the groomsmen that the groom had just given the groomsmen because there was alcohol in them and they were sipping it, and it was a no-go and they were actually confiscated. Number 36, food trucks, ordering pizzas to your wedding, bringing in some kind of dessert service or any other service. If it's not your main caterer at your wedding, these are usually done later in the evening. Now, like way after dinner is served and during like open dancing towards the end of the venue. I've been to weddings where they've had ice cream trucks, they've brought in taco trucks, they brought in burger trucks. Just clear it with your venue before you do it without knowing the rules. Let's go to concerns. Now, the first three are very self-explanatory. Number 4, time of the year at your venue. You're going to think about your rainy season, your hot season. In San Diego, I lived on the coast, and during the summer, it was 70, 75 degrees. But if I photographed a wedding inland in an area called Temecula, which was wine country, it could be 105 to 110 degrees. So when you're visiting your venue in December and it's beautiful out, but you have an August wedding, consider that it might be very, very hot. Number 5 on the concern list is, if your ceremony isn't going to be at your venue, decide how far away you're willing to travel. Factor in traffic, accidents, and people getting lost who may be late. Moving people from one location to another during the wedding usually takes 6 times as long as you think. If you are asking a whole church or a whole synagogue full of 150 guests to get to a wedding venue 30 minutes away, factor in it's going to take them an hour and a half to get there. People get lost, people stop for a drink, people have to use the restroom. Give them the time to travel, and don't schedule things too tight so you have some wiggle room so you can wait for people who might be late. Let's move on to the red flags. Poor communication from the staff at the venue. If they won't even get back to you when you're trying to book the venue, imagine what they'll be like during the planning process. Even in my busiest time of my weddings, I return emails, phone calls, and texts within 24 hours. So that could be a red flag if they're just not getting back to you and if you feel ignored. Number 7 with the red flags is go with your gut. We have been evolved through millions of years to trust our instincts. If you're getting a weird vibe from a venue, it might be good to keep looking. Now that you're almost to the end of this video, do you feel more confident when it comes to choosing your venue? I get it. Weddings can be overwhelming to plan, but as I've stated before, you just need to view each of the planning processes as an individual feat rather than an entire task. Chip away at it month by month and everything will start to fall into place. And if you need help on everything involved in wedding planning, you now have my channel as a reference as well. Don't forget to download your guide I mentioned earlier, and please watch the next video about all-inclusive wedding venues That is up on the screen probably right now. Thank you for watching.